What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Bert's Corner and for another segment of Brett the Hitman Wrestling Reviews with another segment. See, a segment within a segment within a segment. Welcome to another episode of Ringing That Bell. And Robbie, I'm an asshole already. I just remembered. I do not have the damn bell. I am such an asshole.
Oh, man, that's 2 strikes for you, my man.
I
You
know.
gotta have it next month.
So strike three, I'll promise you this. Strike three, you get to put me through a table. Not only a
Oh,
table, but a Slim Jim table.
well, if we're going through the Slim Jim table, this is gonna be the highlight spot of the year.
Yeah, so I got to make sure I bring the bell this time because I refuse to be put through that damn table, which is a little hint at a little rant that I got up because I need to get this out of my chest later on in the show. But let's just say I'm the Brett man. This is Robbie. Robbie, how are we doing today? How's
We're
life
do-
treating you?
Every day is a gift. Every day is a gift. Life is going well. The wrestling world is it's in an interesting spot right now in the
Mhm.
WWE universe world. There's a lot of things going on. Some good, some not so good, some unfortunate things. But when you put it all together, I think it's entertaining and it gives us a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it definitely does. Definitely, there's never a dull moment in the world of professional wrestling, especially in the side of WWE. Even if we have to just, dive like right into a barrel, just scoop all the way down where it's hard to reach, there's
Mhm.
always something to talk about with WWE. So we got some great content for you all tonight. And if you are new to Ring the Bell, pretty much what Ring the Bell is if you are sports fans, most sports fans know about the show called Pardon the Interruption. So we decided to bring a wrestling take into that concept, and that's what we're doing. As you see, we are on our opening bell segment. So when I click the button, we're going to talk about Worlds Collide results, events, so forth. And we're going to end things with a nice little game. But this time, Robbie came up with a nice little game for us. We are very much looking forward to that. So before we really dive in, what do you all think about Ring the Bell? Let us know in that comment section down below because with every comment and every like helps us make this show the best that it can be. So let's see here. Who all is here? We got Lamontra. What's going on there, Lamontra? How are you doing? We got Ashton's in the house. We got Horde Head Heather. She's a big wrestling fan. What's going on there, Heather? Telling me to walk faster. I wasn't late this time. So nobody, no, I'm kidding. Nobody was late, but I did walk faster just for you, Heather. Just letting you know. So I'm a little winded, but I walked just fast for you. So, so all righty. Are you ready for topic number one?
Go for it.
Let's do it. Topic number one. It's Worlds Collide, where the AAA meets the world of WWE for the very first time in promotion history. I never really thought to see the day that comes that AAA gets bought out by WWE, but you know what? As Vince McMahon says, never say never. So here we are, AAA, WWE put on a hell of a show. What are your thoughts about the show?
When I first heard about it, I was, in the same spot as you were, just totally shocked and surprised. I remember in '94 when AAA had their first When Worlds Collide pay-per-view. Uh, Back then, had the opportunity to check it out. My dad at the time had one of the black box cable boxes, so we got all these pay-per-views for a short window for free. And that was one of them. It was the first time I ever saw Rey Mysterio Jr. at the time. Guys like Conan and Eddie Guerrero and the Latin Lover, who was his tag team partner, and all these other luchadors who I had never heard of, but it was such a good jumping off point for myself because 2 years later was when WCW really brought them in around 1996, around the summer of '96. And I remember thinking, oh, I know that guy. I know this guy. He was on that pay-per-view a couple of years back. So it was able to kind of let me become a little bit more familiar with them. And that pay-per-view really stood out. These guys were so athletic, and if it had such a different feel than what was going on in the WWF and WCW at the time. And it was interesting to see, and especially now looking back. So to fast forward to present day, 31 years later, I was slightly apprehensive to see how it would be rolled out. Is this going to be treated kind of as just another brand? Are they going to intertwine Raw, SmackDown, NXT with AAA? But I'm
Mhm.
really pleasantly surprised and happy to say that it's really being treated as its own independent show. Maybe once or twice a year we'll see them cross over, maybe a spot in the Rumble. But other than
Mhm.
that, they're letting them do their own deal. I thought the show was fantastic from start to finish, and hopefully that means nothing but good news moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. I was really pleased as well. This was actually, honestly, my first kind of taste of AAA, and I was actually pretty impressed with the athleticism, the technical ring skill that they had. You could just tell. Well, some more than others. There's like one particular wrestler where I was like, "How in the hell is he wrestling?" Because he was just so awful. And I'm trying, it's not Psycho Clown, it was that 6-man tag. It was like Psycho Clown, this other big guy, and whoever that other big guy was, that was the one I was like, God, this guy looks
Doctor,
awful.
what are you talking about? Dr. Wagner Jr.?
Yeah,
Maybe?
oh, no. I think he's the really good one. I think
Okay.
he's the good one. It was the other unknown guy, and I thought it's just like, this guy is just not very good. How the hell? Why would AAA sign him for the prestige of technical ability that AAA is always known for? But overall, other than that, I thought the show was solid for the most part. I thought the women's match was just okay because it was just mainly the Stephanie Vaquero show, or
Yeah.
as Nikki Bella calls her, Stephanie Facquay.
Yeah.
So we gotta
She's
call her
stunning.
Stephanie Facquay for now on. God Almighty, fucking Nikki. But other than that, so this smooth transition, because I want to talk about what some people are already calling the match of the year.
Mhm.
Chad Gable, and please excuse me if I pronounce the mishell out of this name, El Higo del Vikingo.
You could just call him Vikingo, and we'll
We're
be
just going to
fine.
call him Vikino just to help me, just
Yeah.
because I hate pronouncing people's names wrong. Yeah, hell of a match on that one. I
Oh,
was
awesome.
blown away, even though I was kind of worried they were being a little AEW-ish at times. But of course, fan Chad Gable kind of cleaned some things up and made it just that traditional WWE style match. So, what about you? Do you think this is match of the year?
I mean, it's definitely in consideration when at the end of the year, when you think, all right, what's going to be my top 10 matches, and you kind of just all have them in your head. That's going to be one of them. Now,
Mhm.
AAA, that style, that luchador style, is different than WWE style, and I think that was a good thing that they didn't try to kind of water it down really too much. All these matches had that AAA luchador feel to it, a little less selling, more kind of just high flying. It's more about the athletics and the acrobatics. And we are critical of AEW a lot because so much of their show can feel like that.
Mhm.
Um, but I like it in spurts. It's like if you go to a buffet, an all you can eat buffet, you take a little bit of the steak, you take a little bit of this chicken, maybe you have pasta and rice and potatoes and broccoli, and then maybe you shoot over and you grab the ice cream or this and that or whatever. It's nice to have a little bit of everything on my show. Some
Mhm.
stuff I cater to more than others, but I understand that to appeal to a larger audience, you have to open up that umbrella and kind of present different varieties. As far as AAA is concerned, they kind of cater towards one specific style, and WWE knows that. They're not really going to change that, especially because they're going to, this is going to be kept in Mexico. They know what those people are like. They don't want to watch a WWE version of AAA, so they let AAA do their thing just with the production value of the WWE and the money behind it. And like you said, maybe clean up a couple of loose ends here or there, some things that need fixing, but without sacrificing the identity of what AAA and
Right.
luchador wrestling is.
No, exactly. And plus, there's the thing too, Vikingo, he got AEW trained the hell up when he was over there at AEW. I was like, oh crap, they are going to teach this guy so wrong. And then I think that's what we kind of noticed. He tries to go to those AEW tendencies, and then Chad Gable's like, no. Come back this way.
Yep.
Trust the process. We're going to be okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, just it amazes me still to this day that Chad Gable is just so damn good, and he's just stuck. just being on the mid card, like the lower mid card, and it's just sad. I wish he kind of got the El Grande treatment. El Grande is like a high tier mid card guy, so like it's just good for El Grande, but let's show some Chad Gable some love too.
Maybe El Grande can come out and help him somewhere down the road against maybe even a Vikingo. Maybe we can even have a hair versus mask match between the two and see how that plays out. But there's something that we have to make quick mention here about this whole AAA deal. When this was announced that WWE had acquired AAA, the big story came out that they had acquired all these contracts that come along with it, which is fair. You buy
Right.
a company, you take back all the people that are in it, in front of the camera and behind. At the time, their current champion, their mega champion, I believe they call it, was
Alberto Del Rio.
Alberto El Patron, or Del Rio.
Yeah.
And we don't have to get into his whole backstory. There's a lot of controversy with him regarding his relationship and how it ended with Paige, but then other legal issues. WWE, as far as my understanding, as of even just a few days ago, they have no interest at all in bringing him onto television, using him in any way. There's a reason why he had been the champion for quite some time and dropped the title to Vikingo before the AAA Worlds Collide show.
Yeah.
That was done on purpose. There's a reason for it. WWE is not going to be using this guy in any way, in any capacity. Nobody wants to see him. I wasn't even a fan of this guy when he was, in his athletic prime. What, 10 years ago?
Really?
More 10 to 15. I thought he was just kind of fine. He was just kind of there. But especially now, I would say probably in his mid 40s.
It sounds about right.
Yeah, with all the baggage that he has, there's just absolutely no need to keep him around. So I would not be surprised if they just let him work some of those shows in Mexico without using him on WWE TV. And when his contract is up, they cut him loose, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, I agree. He doesn't need to be here. Even though I always just love the whole gimmick of the aristocrat. And then, of course, Ricardo Rodriguez going, Eva de Mexico, this Alberto. I loved all of that too. And of course, one of the best Raws I've ever been to, it's like when I know we're way getting off subject here, but it's Alberto Del Rio, Rey Mysterio, and The Miz. We're all in the wrestling ring, just like having this promo. And then, of course, Alberto goes to Rey, goes, "Listen here, you little chihuahua." And all that, and they were just going back and forth in Spanish. And The Miz goes, "Guys, I don't care if y'all go fight in a Taco Bell parking lot for all I care, because there's only one true number one contender, and his name is." And then Ricardo goes, "Alberto." Oh my! It was one of the great segments I saw live ever. But yeah, best wishes. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, my favorite Del Rio moment was the night after, I want to say, Mania 29, when Ziggler cashed in the Money in the Bank. Was that 29?
Yeah, that was after WrestleMania 29 in New York and New Jersey.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but yeah, best wishes, Alberto Del Rio or Alberto Patron or whatever his name is. We wish you the best of luck. Hopefully you clean some of your outside the ring issues. Maybe one day you can come back if you clean some stuff up. I don't know, but I think it's like you said, I think age has just got the better of him, and we got no use for him.
Correct.
But what we could have use for is one big standout that I know that WWE has a big eye on after the whole performance, and that is one Mr. or Senor Iguana.
Yeah, he got really over. He might have been the most over out of anybody on that show. And it's just so silly, but like we talked about before, having a variety on the show, and he's a comedy act that people in Mexico really love, and he's getting over with the crowd here. He kind of comes across like a Santino Marella type of a character,
and an R-Truth,
and
recently R-Truth.
Yeah, like a goofy, silly, and that has a place on the show. Every circus needs a clown, and he can be the AAA clown. And if he's gonna sell merch, and he's gonna get go viral on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and all that, why not?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I even hearing the rumors that he could just skip NXT altogether, and they're going to just even think about putting him on the main roster,
Yeah.
just because he is doing good on those T-shirt sales. They love his gimmick with the little doll, kind of like you referring to with Santina Morella. And we'll get to our Truth here in a little bit, but like our Truth was our comedy guy.
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore. So where's that comedicness going to come from now? Iguana to me, I think is the answer to that. So I
Yeah. I
will
have no
not
problem.
be surprised. Maybe right after SummerSlam, we're going to get some Iguana on our TV.
I have no issue with that.
Yeah. Hey, as long as they book him right, and Triple H hasn't done anything to say otherwise that he hasn't done a good booking job, or but we'll get to that particular topic, as I know you brought that up to me. So we will get to that topic here soon. So is there anything else you want to say about Worlds Collide?
No, the only other one, just mentioning they had the four-way match with Ethan Page,
Oh,
Javon
that
Evans, the Lotto Kid, and Great Phoenix.
man,
That was
so good.
yeah. That if you like high spots, just constant nonstop action, no pun intended. Uh, you know that's a really good match to watch. It's just a hair under 15 minutes, so it's quick. It's a lot of fun. If you're into that type of stuff, that's one of the better matches in that style that you're going to see this year so far.
And definitely the two standout performances on that were, of course, just every single time I watch him, Javon Williams, like, or
But
Javon Evans, excuse me,
yeah,
Javon Evans. He just amazes me every single time, and you could just tell that guy is getting better and better as more
yeah,
he's in that ring. And of course, Ethan Page, he's ready to be called up to the main roster. I wouldn't be shocked here, maybe right after SummerSlam as well. He can
agreed.
get the call up during the WWE draft, which those are the rumors right now. Is
Yeah.
after SummerSlam, we're going to get ourselves a little draft.
I and you know we talked about it on our last show. We talked about Iguana getting a bump up to either the main roster or maybe NXT. Ethan Page now possibly getting a bump up. There's a lot of these guys and girls wrestling in Evolve who are doing well that will be going up to NXT,
Yes,
which is
and I've
gonna
been noticing that too.
yeah. So then you're gonna see people who have been in NXT for a while get the bump up. This has been in the plans for a while now. There's a reason why so many of those other talents about 2 months ago got released. It's
Hmm
not because they're heartless and don't care. It's not because they don't think that maybe some of those workers have some talent. It's that they have seen what they had to offer, and they like what they have uh, on the sidelines a little bit more. It's no different than if you're running a baseball team, basketball, football, whatever it may be. You've had someone on the team for a while, but you have somebody in the minor leagues who you think could fill that roster spot
Right.
at least the same way, maybe a little bit better. That you could kind of mold a little bit more. That you're playing with a fresh canvas who hasn't been
hmm
there to wear it out for a while, and maybe a more cost efficient option. So I know people on the internet like to just crap at all these business decisions, and it does suck. I understand that, but there's a little bit more to it than just some rage tweeting because a wrestler that you're only pretending to like now got released.
hmm Yeah, exactly. And it's also great too. It's just like WWE's like, man, we got all this roster spot, or like our roster is full. We need to let some, but we really don't want to let them go. So, and you've actually noticed with Garza, like Phantasma's tag team, which went to that big AAA show
Yeah.
and won their tag team titles. So it's like it's cool that you can say, hey, we ain't really don't need them on SmackDown, but we can
Yeah.
send them over to AAA and just, like, at least they're doing something versus
Yeah.
just the AEW approach where you just sit on your ass and
Yes.
it doesn't
Sitting
benefit
in
anybody.
catering or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, and we're going to force you to work. And if you don't want to work, best of your future endeavors. So, but
Agreed.
yeah. So that's my thoughts on that. So, Worlds Collide, that's it. So, we're going to go to the next topic because we had another premium live event, and that is Money in the Bank. So, overall thoughts, Robbie, on Money in the Bank?
Overall thoughts, I liked it. I thought it was good. I'm happy they added the fifth match. Four was a little light,
Mm-hmm.
but at the Worlds Collide show, Dominic Mysterio ended up challenging Octagon Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got that fifth match. It wasn't anything special, but it was like just a solid match. to flesh out the card a little bit, give Dom and Liv a little something to do, and I think that worked well. I like the booking of it, opening up with the women's match, the women's ladder
Mhm.
match, and going from there. And a lot of people were critical of putting that tag match in the main event spot, but once again, there's
Right.
the layout and structure of how you're booking your show. It's all done for a reason. People have to kind of get out of this mindset of that we used to have growing up, whether it's in the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s. The main event has to be the world title match. That's it.
Mhm.
And it used to be you can't even open up with a title match,
Nope.
or anything, or at all. And that line of thinking is passe. Everything is structured in a specific way. And like the end of the tag match that we saw at Money in the Bank, you can't have that ending at any other spot other than to close the show.
That's true.
That had to be the end of that, the end of the show. It had to end that way if that's what you were going to do.
Yeah,
I
especially where we had a truth behind it,
Yeah,
too. So yeah, you're right. It's like they can't do truth in the middle of the show
yeah, you kill
because
the
it was
crowd.
just you'll kill the crowd, and it's not fair for the men's Money in the Bank match. So it just loses all that steam. So definitely agree with you on that. The tag team match, thought it was okay.
It's
The
fine.
women's intercontinental title match, way better than the match at Backlash. So I was
Yes,
very pleased that that match was so a
yes,
lot better. Even though
yes.
I'm still concerned with Lyra, what is she going to do this time? Even though I have a little feeling that we're going to have a little bit of a heel turn amongst us. So I think that's what's going to be ready to come up for Lyra.
Mhm.
Men's Money in the Bank match, I thought it was really solid. The best ever? No. But was it
No.
still serviceable? Yes. So
Oh yeah.
I was pleased with all the matches. I thought this paper premium live event was very solid.
Same here. I really enjoyed that one spot where uh, Grande Americano, he climbs the one ladder on the outside of the ring onto the inside, and then holds on to the ladder that's in the corner. It falls forward onto the ladder in the middle of the ring, and then he gets caught up there, I believe, with LA Knight, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Sorry,
Yeah,
I just realized I'm missing some topics, so I gotta download those real quick.
you're fine.
So,
But
but keep continuing. Actually, I got a question for you while I do
yeah.
this real quick.
Hmm?
Quickly, what is your favorite match from Money in the Bank?
For this year,
Yeah, for this paper premium live event for Money in the Bank.
um, the men's ladder match, I really like that a lot. There was just so much going on there. There was so many different stories that were being told within it that I really enjoyed it. I thought once again, Americano he's such a fun character. He feels like he's the
Hmm.
MVP of all these matches, and the running gag of who's under that mask, who's under the mask, who's not under the mask. It's
I can
fun.
only tell you one person that is not underneath that mask, and it's been proven time and time again. It is not Chad Gable, so you all need to quit it.
Yes, sometimes I think back of different eras and how different eras would handle certain situations, and I just picture how would a Gorilla Monsoon Bobby Heenan commentary team
Oh my
handle
god.
handle this whole story, with Bobby making every excuse in the book for why it's not Gable under the mask, and Gorilla just yelling at him constantly, "Won't you stop it?" The mileage that you can get out of that with a commentary team like that. And nothing against the commentators now. We have some good ones, but it's fun to kind of look back and just play what if.
Oh no, I even like do Gorilla Monsoon all the time. It's just like if somebody's just like trying to mess with me, I go, "Oh, would you stop?"
And
Like,
the one thing we didn't mention in there is Seth Rollins winning the Money in the Bank.
actually, that was going to be my next question
Yeah, because
because
a
I had
lot of
that.
people weren't happy with that.
No, and I was going to ask you with Naomi winning the women's and with Seth Rollins winning the men's,
Mhm.
did they get it right?
I'm happy that Naomi got the women's Money in the Bank. She's been a workhorse for how long now? 11, 12, 13 years. I don't know how long she's been doing it, give or take, right? Since the
Right.
Funkette era, so it's been over a decade. I think right now she's the best she's ever been, at least from a character standpoint. I think her work in the ring has been kind of consistent. No up or down, but the character work, her being a heel, she's handling that really well. She's really interesting. This is, out of any time in her career, this is the time that I'm interested the most when her segments come on the TV. So I'm happy with that. I think that was fine. I think we kind of thought that she would probably be the winner, but that worked out well. As far as Seth Rollins, I know a lot of people wanted LA Knight. That was the kind of,
Yeah.
that was the big fan favorite, at least in social media land, on Twitter and in all of this stuff. But I'm really happy in retrospect now. I'm really happy that they went with Seth Rollins, and I didn't have a problem with it that night. This guy just started out a new group. He's the heavy hitter of this group. To establish that, just like you establish like the Bloodline or the NWO or the Horsemen or any of these big groups that you really want to be a force on your show, they have to have something along with them. Typically, it's a title. Flair always had the belt with the Horsemen, Hogan with the NWO, Roman had the belt for like 4 years, whatever it was, something like that.
For 1,000,
Yeah, a long time.
2,000. So it seemed
Exactly.
like a
So,
freaking
so,
lifetime.
it,
But
so if you're not gonna give Rollins the belt right now, he's got to do something. And I think having the Money in the Bank briefcase, with the history of him already having it, is a good way to go about it. And I think it opens up the door for a lot of different possibilities. You've already seen LA Knight kind of interjecting himself into the main event on some of these shows, forcing his hand as kind of hanging in that main event slot. I think you're going to see situations where Seth goes to cash it in, and a guy like CM Punk interrupts his cash in. So even though guys like that might not have the Money in the Bank briefcase, they're still around in this main event scene, messing with Seth Rollins and interrupting when he really wants to cash that in. So I think it opens up a lot of doors, and by having those options there, it's not just one clear-cut person that's going to be coming after him, like just to CM Punk. You could have other people that are intertwined with that as well. And it makes every show interesting, suspenseful, and you don't know when he might be coming to cash it in and who might be coming in to interrupt him. So it's kind of, you have two things colliding at once, and I think that's a good option for WWE.
yeah, just my thoughts on it real quick. Naomi, with our prediction of the FWL, which I still need to get those results out, so I apologize everybody about where the hell the results are. I gotta work on it. That's my bad. I was kind of on vacation when Money in the Bank was happening, so I will get to that. And Gory, I saw you in the chat. What's going on there, Gory? But yeah, prediction wise, I hated that Naomi won. But as a wrestling fan, I was thrilled that Naomi won, just because it's like Ashton said in the chat, she got her moment. And I think this is a good moment for her to actually be treated like an actual threat and actually serious with her character. And I think that's phenomenal. I kind of disagree with you, though. I just do not think Seth Rollins needs that Money in the Bank. I feel like he could still have done all of his opportunities without the Money in the Bank, because last year Drew McIntyre won, and then CM Punk cost him on that very same night. I'm afraid that Seth Rollins has said he's going to get ready to try to cash in, and then Roman Reigns is going to cost them. So we're pretty much doing the exact same story back-to-back years, where LA Knight, I feel like what they should have done for LA is win Money in the Bank and finally get him to go from SmackDown to Raw to be the World Heavyweight Champion, because I just don't see LA Knight being the WWE champion on SmackDown with the people like Cody Rhodes. We got Cena. I'm sure Drew McIntyre, when he comes back from his neck injury, he'll get a big shot at the WWE title. So I just don't see a bright future for LA Knight on SmackDown. But if you get the Money in the Bank briefcase, have him go over the Raw, feud with Gunther or somebody on that caliber level, LA Knight can hold his own on Monday Night Raw. But I don't get it because this was your year. It's in LA. 3 years in a row where people thought LA Knight was going to win Money in the Bank, and they just keep screwing them over. And at the point, to me, it's still ridiculous because he's still over, mega over with the wrestling fans. So why not push it when the iron is hot? That's what I don't get.
Yeah, I mean, I get that he's over. I mean, for me, I just look at him as like an intercontinental or U.S. champion. I don't think he's on the level of a world champion for me. Maybe the world title, not the WWE title, because the world title kind of seems like that's kind of like a rung down.
Right.
So maybe, I mean, if Jey Uso can win the title for a couple of months, then there's no reason why LA Knight can't get the title. I think LA Knight's would be a better option than Jey Uso. I guess it just depends on where they go with Gunther here. He's got Goldberg in a couple of weeks. That'll be just quick.
Oh, it'll
I
be Oldberg.
Yeah, I for that match I don't want to deviate too much, but for that, I was at WrestleMania 33 when Brock Lesnar beat Goldberg. It was about a 4.5 minute match. It was really well done. It was just they got all their shit in very quickly
And got out.
and Goldberg got his stuff off. Brock got out. Brock got his stuff in and then won. I think that's exactly what you're going to see with him and Gunther. I think Goldberg shakes Gunther's hand. Gunther walks out. Goldberg's kid comes in the ring. They celebrate in Atlanta to end Saturday night's main event, and then he rides off into the sunset, and that's it. If that's how it plays out, I have no problem with it. It's 3 weeks of build. Who cares? It's not the end of the world, but people will live.
Not me. I just don't think Goldberg needs it. Honestly, his best retirement match was with Dolph Ziggler, because Dolph Ziggler put that man over one final time. And then, other than that, Goldberg has just been absolutely god awful.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that completely. But if he's going to do something and you do it that way, that's the only way you can do it.
Right. And Gunther's a good person to put him in the ring with, someone that's big and physical, but will also take care of Goldberg too. But that's for a later segment because we do have a segment of the early previews and all that. So, but trying to think here. No, that's all I got for Money in the Bank.
Same.
So is that all you got for Money in the Bank?
Yeah, I think we can segue to the next topic, which is how we ended Money in the Bank.
Oh, I know. And guess what? The truth shall always set you free. R-Truth, or we have to call him now, Wrong Killings. You wanted to bring this topic up because of the fact of his crazy journey for the past couple of weeks where he got fired. Everybody was losing their shit on him getting fired. And then Triple H brought him back. It's like, it's all part of the plan. Bullshit. No, it wasn't. But I don't blame you for saying it that way because it was TKO. They are the ones that had the issue with R-Truth being there and all that. But they listened to the people. He came back. He's gained his big, I wouldn't say a big push, but he's getting a good, decent side mid-card, upper mid-card tier push. He's wrestling John Cena this Friday on SmackDown. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see where they're going to go from there. But Robbie, what do you think about this whole R-Truth / Ron Killings controversy? What are your thoughts on that?
I think what happened was that his contract was going to come up. I think TKO looked at it and said he's a 53-year-old part-time comedy act who should not be making full-time money and the money that was given to him. And they offered him a new contract. They lowballed him. He was insulted by it, and he walked. I think they also underestimated his popularity, which led to that wave of people wanting to see him. And Nick Khan, president of WWE, made the phone call directly to Ron Killings, and they worked out a new deal that was favorable for both sides. I think I wish they could have gotten that deal done before all of this got made public. I don't have a problem with WWE and TKO wanting to revise that contract. Once again, it's no different. It's like you said before. If you have a player on your team, your sports team, who is getting older, is not as good as he once was, maybe he plays just a small role on the team, and his new contract's up. Maybe he is a favorite on the team and you like him, but you can't pay him the same as you did when he was giving you a full-time, full playing schedule. That's bad
Right.
business and makes no sense just because people on the internet are too sensitive and can't think straight and they think out of their ass. It's at the end of the day, hate to be like this, but it's a business. That's just what it is. You can't be paying him the same as he did 15 years ago. It doesn't make any sense. Now, should you just fire the guy completely and give him a really bad lowball offer, which we don't know what the offer was? I'm just it's lower than what Killings wanted.
Right.
There has to be kind of a middle ground, and I'm glad that they, found it, because Ron Killings is a popular guy. He adds a bit to the show.
Yeah.
But the problem is he would over the last year or two. How often was he on the show? A little bit here or there. Was he ever in any major angles? A little bit with
Maybe Judgment.
with the Judgment Day. That's it. Other than that, there'd be like months that go by that he was not on TV. No one cared about it. No one talked about how much they want to see Ron Killings in some big angle. There was not this big push about how he's everybody's favorite guy. But when the story came out that they weren't going to renew his contract, all of a sudden everybody's freaking out that they're losing this amazing wrestler and somebody that all these fans have wanted to see week in and week out. That's not true. This phony fake outrage happens every single time there's releases. Happens every
And we
year at
talked about it
WrestleMania.
in the
Yeah,
last episode
yeah,
too.
and I'm not trying to discount our truth or Ron Killings and what he can give to the show. He's been very entertaining over the years. He's a hard worker. He's loyal. People like him both in the promotion and the fans. But let's not pretend like him leaving is like losing some 33-year-old top level main event star, or late 30s. It's not like they just got rid of Cody Rhodes or they got rid of Seth Rollins. I can see, or Roman Reigns, that type of outrage I can see should be reserved for people like that. You're really going to freak out and throw online hissy fits over somebody like that? I mean, come on, guys. What are we doing? I was embarrassed for these people. I get like secondhand embarrassment when I watch certain things. It's like
Right.
it's like the scene in My Girl when Vader's got to put the glasses on Thomas J in the funeral. Watching these people have that outrage and seeing it constantly scrolling past it, I was feeling like that secondhand embarrassment. Let's dial it back a little bit and just look at things outside of our fandom.
No, I absolutely agree. And I'm going to be on the controversy side of things that I didn't mind R-Truth being cut exactly for what you say. He was 53, low card comedy act, which guess what? We got Iguana in AAA. We could have easily replaced, we could make a comedy guy. That's the thing with WWE. They can make a comedy guy with a snap of a finger. Like, I feel like truly it takes no effort from them. They just got to find the right person to do it. So it's like you said, the only thing R-Truth has done within the past couple of years was Judgment Day, which his whole video package on the Judgment Day was the most beautiful comedy I've ever seen in WWE history. Like, if you have not seen it for some reason, you gotta watch it. It's absolutely hilarious and well written. That's the thing, well written as well. But yeah, I didn't care. So like, I'm not sure why all these people, even the wrestlers themselves, I'm not sure like why they were having such a cow about R-Truth getting cut. It's like you said, it was a business decision by TKO. Why do we want to pay this guy that just mainly is just there in the back row to be a comedy act where anybody can do that? We need people in the freaking ring. So I had no issue with R-Truth being cut, but with how they brought him back, I'm happy that he's back because he's getting like this one. Yeah, he's getting this one last run. Just like because his sons are growing up too. So I think he just wants to prove like one time that he can have one more good run. And that's actually going to be the last question of this topic for me. That is, I'm going to ask you, do you think all this with Ron Killings right now ends with him holding the WWE Championship?
No.
No. See, and that's the thing. If it ain't going to end it with WWE Championship, with the way they brought him back and how impactful it was, why bring him back? Like, it's just like, what are you going to do after John Cena with him? Like, who are you going to feud him with?
you have this whole thing that you've been kind of planning. John Cena's heel turn, gonna kill wrestling. He still needs to work CM Punk for a title. He's gonna be working. He's gonna end up working again with Cody. He's gonna probably work Jey Uso or whoever might win King of the Ring. You're not gonna give up all of that main event title stuff to give Ron Killings the WWE title because some dweebs on the internet cry about it really loud. It doesn't make any sense to me. That's really bending over backwards. Like if
Oh,
WWE
and
did that, I would have to sit there and say, "You guys got to grow a spine. Where are your balls?" Like, as much as the people that been complaining about this think that they're in the majority, they're really not. You know,
mhm.
the whole IWC is a loud minority of the fans. It's one reason why Jey Uso had the belt for a couple of months, because even though they all hated him, the guy pushed merch. He was way over in the stadiums.
Mhm.
The
Well,
kids loved.
actually, let me cut you off right there because this is where I actually argued with one of my good buddies I went to high school with. It's not that Jey Uso got over;
Mhm.
his gimmick got over.
Okay,
It's
but
kind of it's kind it's kind of
he's
like
behind the
saying,
gimmick.
yeah, but here's the thing: it's like saying like, well, the title doesn't make the wrestler makes the title. Well, it's the same thing. The gimmick don't make the wrestler makes the gimmick, or vice versa. I know it doesn't make all the sense in the world. It's just the whole reason for Jey Uso getting everything that's been given to him is because of the whole yeet movement. And I felt like we could give that to a better wrestler who's actually good in the ring and is actually really consistently good on the mic. Jey Uso is a flash in a bottle when it comes to his promos. Once every like 5 Raws, you're going to get a good promo out of them.
Yeah, from what I've been hearing too, and I'm sure you have as well. They might end up trying to put him and his brother back together.
That would
Um,
be
yeah,
fantastic.
I think that would be good. Keep him away from the title scene. He had
Right.
his little run. It was cute, and and like the kids really loved it. He pushed a lot of merch, sold a lot of merch, did well. So more power to him. But it's time to move on with that. I'm really happy that Gunther won the title back from him.
Oh,
You can get,
I was jumping out of my
yeah,
seat
you
and
could do
going,
it.
let's fucking go.
Because the thing is with Gunther too, I mean, he's an amazing wrestler in the ring. He puts on so many good matches. He makes everybody better. And this last, year or so, especially the last, 6 months, his
Mhm.
mic work, his promo work, his character work has
I,
been the best it's ever been.
he's been the most underrated promo guy in all of professional wrestling, if you ask me.
Yeah.
He is just secretly just so damn good and smooth. And it's like you say, he got better because he used to not be able to cut a promo whatsoever. But
Yeah.
I think someone just whispered in his ear, it's like, hey, you gotta kind of learn how to cut a promo, or you are not going to get very far in this business. And I think he took that literally,
Very true.
along with the whole weight issues. Because if you saw him coming into WWE, he was
He was a little chunky.
horrible. He was horribly
Yeah.
out of shape. But now, if you look at him now, dead gum. I am so proud of Gunther. So I'm so happy for him getting another world title match because they finally realized, yeah, the gimmick's over, but Jey Uso can carry that gimmick in the world title. So I'm happy with all that. I know that is far from the point, but yeah, R-Truth. I just don't see what the point is. He gets this one little match with John Cena, and then what are we going to do with him? So that's kind of like on my point. I was okay just letting him go.
Yeah. To me, putting him in the match with Cena, giving him a little bit, that's kind of like giving the people that've been complaining, giving them a cookie. Like, here you go.
Yeah, and
Just
I
we'll
hope
give you a
it's a
little
mint
something just so
chocolate
you can
chip
shut up.
cookie. And I
Just
hope
keep.
it's a mint chocolate chip cookie because they're disgusting and you
There you
deserve
go.
it. So, anything else about our boy R-Truth? Because the
Well,
truth shall set us free.
we'll see how it plays out.
All righty. So, let's see here. Let's go to topic number 4. WrestleMania goes back to Las Vegas. Yeah, so you can see how desperate TKO is with their $1 billion in debt. But yeah, so just some notes real quick. This was supposed to be in New Orleans, and it was promoted. Even they brought out The Rock for some unknown reason. I'm not sure why The Rock had to announce WrestleMania in New Orleans, because made no sense. But then they're like, no, we can't. We made all this great money in Las Vegas by overcharging the wrestling fans. So we're going to go back to Las Vegas for part 2.
Yep.
So I just got I got like your question mixed in with this category, but I got a question first. Do you think that a city should have the right to go back to back, or are you kind of like me? It should be a different city each and every single year, and let a city get their time for like them to build up a revenue for their city to benefit off of WrestleMania. And more than anything, it helps just the wrestling fans in general with traveling too. So I like just spreading it out where WrestleMania is. So what are your thoughts about this whole WrestleMania location? And should a city like Las Vegas get back to back?
I like WrestleMania to be in a different city every year. I think it freshens it up. I think it differentiates it from the previous few years. I don't like a city to have a WrestleMania so close together. Now, if you wait 5, 6, 7 years, I don't have a problem with that. You're waiting. Yeah, that's not a problem. So I actually wasn't even thrilled about them going back to New Orleans. I wanted them to go somewhere else. I feel like we just had one in New Orleans.
I know.
But that would have been fine, and I get it. So my the way I would rather have seen it was for them to continue every single year, change up the venue. That said, once again, this is a business. They made a lot of money in Las Vegas. You mentioned about the outrageous ticket prices. You're right, but you know what? They sold out.
They still bought them.
Everybody bought them. And when people can complain again, oh, they're overcharging people. What's wrong with them? Then stop buying. Don't go to the shows. Don't go to shows. You know what? They wouldn't go back to Las Vegas if there was 20,000 people at the show instead of 60,000 every night. You know what I mean? If they didn't, have multi-million-dollar gate, they wouldn't have gone back. But all the people that complain, they go anyway, and they spend all the money, and they buy the $70 T-shirts and the $10,000 ringside seats
and the $20 beer and hot dog combo.
Yeah, and then they spent their rent money to get a picture with John Cena. That's 4 seconds, and then he moves you off in the line. So if you're going to be pissing your money away on all of this shit, don't have the nerve to then complain about the prices. They're selling it everywhere. If you're a business person, of course you're going to go back. As a fan, I thought the crowd was weak.
Yeah.
I thought that hurt the show.
Well, actually, that's a good point. Actually, I'm sorry to cut you off, because I kind of like a little bit of a science, or as Green Goblin says in Spider-Man, I'm sort of a scientist myself. Like just the way how the Vegas football stadium is built, it's kind of like it's built like in this kind of oval shape, and that kind of hurts the crowd noises. So honestly, we really don't know. What really helps the crowd noise is if you could just compact it into like a tight little ball, which is always hard to do it in stadiums. I kind of almost wish in a way we can go back to like stadium, or not stadiums, but arenas in a way, because it's just like it looks
stadium, but in a dome.
Yeah, exactly. It's just something that's really compact where you really just entrap all that noise.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's what I think kind of hurt Vegas, is with how their stadium is built. And I think they opened up the roof the entirety of the show too. And that really hurts, like with the voice and all that.
Yeah. And it's a really long weekend. There's a lot of stuff they have to tighten up. They have to figure out what they're going to do with the Hall of Fame. It's you can't stagger it the way they do. It's on too late. It drags on too long. People were falling asleep in the crowd. Booker T and a few others. Yeah, their eyes were closed and they were starting to fall asleep. And these are people that have to work the next day on these shows. I was falling asleep at home, and I'm just at home relaxing. And it was exhausting. By the time we got to NXT on Tuesday, the crowd was so quiet you can hear a pin drop. It's not because the NXT show was bad. It was because they had gone through SmackDown, Hall of Fame, Mania Night 1, Mania Night 2, Raw, not to mention all of the Access, or whatever they call it now, stuff that they're doing.
And other independent wrestling organizations too.
Yeah, Thursday night was the TNA show, plus all the other indie shows that they have. It's too long of a week. By the time you get towards the end of the week, the crowd is exhausted, and so they have to figure out how to tighten up this week a bit. And I understand there's money on the line, and you don't want to cut shows out, but you have to find a way to rearrange these shows so they're more accessible and easier to watch for the fans. And as far as going back to Vegas, I'm not a big fan. I'm not really happy with it. I don't. To me, it kind of just feels like, WrestleMania 41 Part Two,
Hmm.
as opposed to just being a new, fresh show. Last time
Right.
they did something like this was WrestleMania 4 and 5.
At least they
Uh,
changed the logo. If you see it from the top corner right there, at least they changed the logo a little bit.
yeah, they removed the color.
Hmm. My God, you smart ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I added your question into this particular topic because you even mentioned during that spiel about WrestleMania during the weekend losing a little steam. So
Yeah.
that's actually the topic that you brought up and I want to bring in. You asked the question, has WWE lost steam
Yep.
post WrestleMania? So I'm going to let you just carry on with that.
This is always a really difficult time for WWE. Really, after the first week or so, after Mania, it becomes really difficult.
Hmm.
You're so jazzed up for kind of Royal Rumble and then the lead in to Mania. I always kind of talk to people when I talk to people and try to describe this. To me, Royal Rumble is like the start of the playoffs. If you're watching it,
WrestleMania season.
yeah, it's the Royal Rumble is like round one. We're watching by the time we get to Mania, it's the championship, and then you have a little fun with the Raw after Mania. Maybe that's some of the after season awards, and you have a little bit of fun with it. But when you get so into something, you put all your energy into it, you kind of blow the load, so to speak. You need time to build things back up. And right now I think they're in that spot. People have a little bit of fatigue, a little wrestling fatigue. People have other interests. Maybe they're watching movies. Maybe they're watching the NBA and the NHL playoffs. Maybe they're watching a little
Hmm.
bit of baseball. Maybe they're doing other things.
WNBA.
Well, no.
Well, no, I'm Caitlin Clark, so I watch Caitlin Clark at WNBA, but
Well, watching Caitlin Clark is different than watching the WNBA.
that is very a true statement. So,
That could be a totally different show. But that's the thing, and it's right now. I really don't envy the writing team right now in April, May, June. You start to get people back around that SummerSlam time,
hmm
and I
or
think
Money in the Bank.
yeah, Money in the Bank to SummerSlam.
Hmm.
Because SummerSlam is Money in the Bank is kind of like the kickoff to SummerSlam.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting how they play this. It's been a little bit rough. If we're being fair, these last 2 or 3 months, even Mania, the build to Mania was not very good in comparison to how it was last year.
Oh hell no!
And
Except for the triple threat feud
I
with
agree, I agree,
Roman,
but
Seth,
I'm
and Punk.
talking,
Other than that, I agree.
yeah, I'm talking more from a macro standpoint, just
Oh, no,
over
absolutely. But you got to
overall.
remember, that's WrestleMania 40
Yeah,
years of WrestleMania versus just regular WrestleMania 41. I knew
it's
the
it's
dip
tough.
in quality and everything was going to dip.
Yeah, we're gonna see how SummerSlam plays out. I really think they have to hit a home run here for SummerSlam.
Oh, for 2 nights especially.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how all that plays out. There's a lot of curveballs that kind of get thrown into the middle of all this. I don't think anyone really expected Jey Uso to lose the belt so soon.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's a big question mark as far as where the world title is going to go. Um, what are they going to do with the women's title? I can see a cash in happening at SummerSlam on the women's side. I don't see Naomi holding that too long.
Yeah,
Um,
and she doesn't need to because like her character work is what's getting everything over. So I
yeah,
think just a little run with it, but
that's fine.
I could kind of see a Tiffany Stratton versus Jay Cargill, and then
Mhm.
Naomi just ruining it, and then we get Naomi and Bianca Belair feud
Yeah.
or something.
So we'll have to see how this plays out, but this is just it's a tough time because your audience is exhausted.
Hmm.
They're just really tired.
Yeah.
And it's hard, they don't have the luxury of these other sports where you have an off season where people can kind of take their breath.
Right.
Be-
That's an interesting question. Would that benefit WWE if they took like a little off season period?
not no, just because people are so conditioned to watching it
True.
on a week to week basis, especially because it's this like episodic TV show.
True.
Um, I think they do the right thing by not over showcasing the wrestlers anymore. Meaning, a lot of these got like, when was the last time you saw Roman Reigns? He's not on TV every week.
Yeah, so it's like the NXT style of booking that Triple H did. It's like he gave you your wrestler 1 week, and then like 3 weeks later, he's back on television
Yeah,
just to
it
rest
gives the
them up and all that.
characters, gives people, the characters and the people a little time to breathe.
Exactly.
And you need that. You need that. It was different
Mhm.
back. See, it was different back in the day, in like the 80s and early 90s before Raw, where they would tape a month worth of TV every, within a weekend or something.
Mhm.
And you would only see Hulk Hogan really wrestle 7 or 8 times a year unless you went to a house show. He wasn't wrestling on Superstars or Wrestling Challenge or All American Wrestling. He was wrestling
Mhm.
on the 3 or 4 pay-per-views depending on the year, and the 1 or 2 Saturday night's main events depending on what was going on at the time. That was it. Like now, we got to a point where these guys were wrestling almost every week when it was the Attitude Era and when we were, going through that, and it was just burnout. And at least now I like how they don't overuse some of these guys. I think
Mhm.
that's part of the reason why some of these top guys are in their 40s now and still able to perform at a high level. You know, even 15, 20 years ago, if a wrestler was 40, he was considered old. When Ric Flair won the WWF title in 92, people kind of looked at that as like this old man winning the title. He was 42.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
no,
But now you look at, John Cena was he knocking on 50? CM Punk has got to be 45, 46, maybe older than that.
I think
Seth,
he's in his mid-40s.
okay, Seth Rollins, 37, 38, probably.
38.
Yeah. What about AJ Styles? Is he almost 50?
Dude, he's
Not,
so phenomenal. It really age don't matter with that dude.
but it's just another guy that's about that age, right? I mean, LA Knight's in his 40s, you know, so they can't showcase these guys all the time. So I think it's good that they're kind of spreading their time out
Yeah.
and not
Uh,
overuse.
Yeah, and just to add on to your point about that whole topic there too is I'm just always a believer that Triple H and the team rest and the booking team is just like this is just like again the quiet point of the season as you're kind of referring to everything it's just in seasons
Yeah.
like WrestleMania season, SummerSlam season, but this is just the kind of this before all this was like from Backlash to right before Money in the Bank. It's just why do you want to waste good booking during that time where fans are, like you said, fatigued? Why waste good booking when you can save it for the Summer Slams and for the WrestleManias and all that? If it
Yeah.
just take that just quiet time just to throw new pieces or new ideas to the pot to see what sticks, and then what sticks, use it for the SummerSlam or the WrestleMania season. So I actually had I've never had a problem with the way that like all this what we call weak booking, as some of the internet fans are saying, weak predictable booking. I don't have a problem with that because it's just again during the time of the year where they're just testing some things
Yeah.
and just kind of like even like Money in the Bank, they kind of show ideas of like, ooh, this could be a future feud, or Royal Rumble, this could be a future feud. Let's just throw this out there, see what bites and what sticks and all that. So I have no issue with that. So after the all women's Evolution pay per view, when we get into that, dive fully into SummerSlam season, that's where you're going to see a lot of the good booking happen.
Agreed.
So, any other thoughts for WrestleMania and WrestleMania season?
I think we're good.
All righty. Well, this one would be pretty quick, but of course, I just hate injuries, and I just want to give them their dues. Zoey Stark and Liv Morgan are both on the injury shelf at this time. Zoey Stark, especially,
That was
if you
bad
know.
looking.
Oh my God, it was, and just to hear her scream too, and they immediately cut the camera. You
Yeah.
know, it was not good. And I even looked it up. She tore her ACL, MCL, and meniscus.
Yeah.
So like she
That's a year. That's a
really
year. That's a year plus.
yeah, so she'll be out for a year. And Liv Morgan, when I saw the replay, I thought she dislocated her elbow.
It was a
And for
shoulder
some
though.
reason, they're saying it's her shoulder, but to me, if you look at that replay, it really looked like it was the elbow. So that kind of surprised me with a dislocated shoulder. So she'll be gone for at least 3 to 4 months. So all
Well,
I just. Hmm?
before the show, I saw the report that she is expected to be out now 6 months.
Who, Liv Morgan?
Live, yeah.
Oh, damn. See, that's actually quite perfect for the one question I have. But first off, Zoe Stark, we wish you the best of luck, and we hopefully you get back because you are a really good talent in the ring. We just need to work on a character. Maybe this time of year away from the ring, maybe we could develop a good character for Zoe Stark. I think they were close to edging on something with like her making fun or just being jealous of the women looking good and all that. I thought they were kind of leaning towards that, but we'll see what happens in a year.
Well,
But for
as far as Liv goes, in my head, I had and I'd love to hear what you had to say about this. I have the booking for her. When I
for
heard
Zoe,
for Liv, when I heard 6 months, I said, I already have this. It's already here.
oh, before you said it, because that's actually my question. Do you think Liv Morgan's injury is perfect timing?
Yes, and I'm going to tell you why. This is what you do.
Go for it.
This is what you do. Liv is going to be out 6 months. Okay, so that puts it around January, right? Yeah, give or take.
Let's see
But
here. June,
January, February.
December. So yeah, she should be back for Rumble.
Okay, so this is what you do. You really push this Roxanne Dom thing. You really
Yes.
push it. You have her flirting with him left and right. All of that. You could even go as far as to make it where you think they might be together.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the case may be. And Liv's gone now. She's hurt. She's messed up. You need a spot in a Rumble where it's coming down towards the end of the Rumble here. And it looks like Roxanne has got a shot to win. Remember, she did well in this past Rumble.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So she's out there. She's eliminating people. Roxanne is going to do the only thing she didn't do last year at the Rumble. She's going to win it. Liv's music hits. Comes out, kicks the living shit out of Roxanne. And if you make it to where you have Dom and Roxanne together, you could have Dom try to like stop Liv in the aisle, and she knocks him on his ass and heads into the ring and opens up big time on Roxanne. The pop for Liv would be massive. She would be the most over woman in that promotion. Worst case scenario, second to Rhea. She would be that pop would be incredible.
Incredible.
And it would be such a perfect timing to turn her baby face right as she comes back, and she can promote her movie and she can do all this and that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how you would have to play that. Turn this negative into a positive.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. And I'll actually raise you one. Why not throw the women's world title into that mix?
Depending on if it's in the Rumble.
Or
Yeah.
like, or no, like I'm saying, like we could even like potentially like Liv Morgan win the Royal Rumble, and then you have Elimination Chamber where you have Roxanne sneaking her way for the world title or something like that. And you get Roxanne and Liv for the world title.
That you can make that work.
Because I'm just telling you, Roxanne's that damn good. I thought like her promo work needs to get a little tuned in. I think during this time with Liv being out, I think Roxanne is going to have to step up on the mic. So hopefully that works. But yeah, actually Heather said best, Liv Morgan Revenge Tour 2.0.
Oh, it'll be great. It's going to be great. Her as the baby face. It's so naturally set up to go after Roxanne.
Mhm. Oh, and that's the thing too. It's like even a buddy of mine asked me, "It's like, well, dude, do you think this is actually too familiar with like what happened to Rhea Ripley
Yeah, and
with
that's
everything?"
perfect.
Which it is. No, and it is. But the thing is, it's not forced. It naturally happened.
Yeah.
So it still makes sense to go this route. I even see a Liv Morgan and Finn Balor because I think during this time, Dom is going to kick Finn Balor out of Judgment
Oh
Day,
yeah, big time.
where now it's going to be a face Finn, a face Liv versus a heel Dom and a heel Roxanne. And people are saying they're trying to make Dominic Mysterio a face. Fuck no, not right now, because he is
Yeah.
earning all this great heat as a heel. As this past Monday, he's still getting those freaking boos. So
Yeah.
definitely, I see a future of Finn and Liv feuding with Dominic and Roxanne, and Finn getting his last chance as a face, the Demon, WWE title, like all that. I still see that for Finn Balor for one last run.
I agree. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So, but again, Liv, we hope you get a successful recovery because we cannot wait to have you back. As Horrorhead ever said, Revenge Tour 2.0, because you know for a damn fact those t-shirts are going to sell.
Yep.
So, all right. We are getting near towards the end here. I got to bring this up because I heard on a podcast, the Jonathan Coachman's podcast, he's not been actually lately. He's not been wrong with his bold predictions here. So he has another one. Close sources to him said that Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is working on that WWE contract. So, what are your thoughts about Dr. Britt Baker possibly coming to WWE?
I'm not surprised by that. People who play in Tony's toy chest always run back to greener pastures.
Mhm.
I don't blame her at all. That's just not the place to be. As
Mhm.
much as Ricochet and a lot of these nerds online try to get down on their knees for AEW, they have a niche little fan base. It's it's quite adorable yet annoying, but they are really no. If you can move on to the WWE, you take the option, you take the opportunity. And Britt Baker's
Oh
been,
yeah.
she's talented. I think she's doing really well there.
I agree. I feel like Britt Baker's whole character and her whole wrestling abilities match perfectly with the WWE style. So I have no doubts that Britt Baker is just going to smoothly make that transition into WWE just perfectly. My only real concern with Britt Baker are two things. What's she going to do about her dental practice that she's so obsessed with? And another thing too is she did have a little bit of those locker room issues towards or what has come the end of her time in AEW. Is WWE going to have to deal with that, or is it just again just a conflict between her and AEW? Kind of like the same thing with Punk, because he hasn't really had any backstage issues as well, at least to our knowledge. Matt Riddle thinks there's some backstage issues, but last time I checked, Matt Riddle, you are not part of WWE, so go fuck off and smoke some weed.
So much sour grapes between these people who used to work in WWE and no longer work there. They're
Yeah,
so jealous. They hate the fact that WWE is thriving right now, making so much money.
without them.
Yeah, and like I said, it's sour grapes, it's bitterness, and you can't take anybody like that serious. You just laugh it off and move along.
No, exactly. So, I'm very positive towards Dr. Britt Baker coming to WWE. Just like I am so thrilled that Mariah May came to WWE, and if you saw her on NXT last
Yeah.
night, hot damn!
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just her looks, but just everything about Mariah May, her presence, her aura. I'm just screaming you right now. She's a future WrestleMania main event.
Yeah, she's got the presentation is really done well. She won't be in
Mhm.
NXT too long.
No, absolutely not. So someone actually brought a notice on X that they've kind of noticed that Tiffany Stratton quit going away from like the Barbie doll type of character and letting Mariah May, or who is now Blakely Monroe.
Mm.
Is that her name, Blakely Monroe, the Mariah May's
Yeah,
character?
I thought they should have went to Mariah Monroe.
Yeah, they should have, but the reason for it, I heard, is Blakely is her niece's name. She wanted to do something with her character in honor of her niece, Evan
Oh,
Monroe, because she loves Marilyn Monroe.
that's fine.
Which
Whatever works for her.
again, all that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the future is bright. And Dr. Britt Baker, if you do come to WWE, I'm going to welcome you with wide open arms. Because
All right.
that's the other thing. My last thing on it too. I see. I'm riled up now. Damn you, AEW. AEW promised this whole thing. We're gonna build a brand new women's division.
Terrible.
Everybody's new. We don't have to bring in anybody. We're gonna create our own women's division from scratch. Britt Baker, what's that? CM Punk called her a pillar for that division. She was the face of it, kind of like how Rhea Ripley is the face of WWE women's division right now, which I know some people would disagree on that, but that's just, to me, I feel like what it is. And then all of a sudden, Tony Khan's like, yeah, we just brought in Sasha Banks or Mercedes Monet, and screw you. I'm like, I don't blame Britt Baker for being that way. Like, so I'm happy she's come to WWE. Hopefully, she leaves all that bullshit behind and not
Same.
bring that negativity towards the WWE locker room.
Agreed.
So, but Dr. Britt Baker, hopefully you come on soon. So let's go into this segment here. We can make this a little quick here because I know we got about 20 minutes. That's what our goal was. So upcoming PLEs and our early thoughts on them. So early thoughts, we kind of already talked about Saturday night's main event with Oldberg and Gunther. So we'll kind of skip that one. So it's the real only two we'll talk about is the Night of Champions. That's the next one coming up on June the 28th in Saudi Arabia, and then the Women's Evolution pay-per-view, because changes have been made all because of the Liv Morgan injury on that. So just what are your initial thoughts about Night of Champions?
I'm curious how it plays out, especially the CM Punk John Cena match.
Mm-hmm.
They've had so many great matches in the past. Obviously, the biggest one is the Money in the Bank match in 2011. I don't expect it to be on the level of any of those matches, but I think it'll be interesting. They'll do enough smoke and mirrors with Cena to make it worthwhile. We know that when these Saudi shows come, the money gets thrown around big time to get,
their particular wrestling matches.
Yeah, and listen, there's been times in the past where it hasn't gone well. Undertaker and Goldberg, I believe, was that in Saudi?
God, I was about to say, don't tell me that match.
That was really, really bad. I believe that was in Saudi. If we also remember, Shawn Michaels comes out of retirement. Him and Triple H took on Undertaker and Kane.
God, yeah.
That was and when people ask why, I mean, these guys are getting 7 figures to do the match. Just you're gonna say no? Who in their right mind would say no? You do it.
Yeah, even Punk. That's the thing. Even Punk, because he got controversy a long time ago, saying I will never take blood money in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, of course
for that. And here he is. Here he is now. He's like, okay, hell yeah, give me 7 figures and I'll do it.
Yeah, but he said that back then because he wasn't with the company anymore, and he was trying to fit into the AEW fan base and and kind of fit in with the nerdy internet people. But the bottom line is, you have a contract with a company. They have a show in Saudi Arabia, and you're going to go. That's it. I don't care what you said on the internet 5 years ago. It doesn't matter. And you know what? Here's a big extra payday, an extra $1 million or $2 million. Try to tell you go home to your wife and try to explain to her that you could have got an extra $1 million, but you didn't want to go because it was Saudi Arabia and you said some stuff on the internet a couple of years ago. What? Like, no, like he's getting older now. He's only going to be doing this a couple more years. Maybe he wants to start a family and have like have a bigger nest egg and create generational wealth if he has a kid or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Imagine not doing it because of something silly like a comment like that. No, you take the damn money and go. Who cares?
And I'm sure AJ Lee's neck surgeries are not that what we call not cheap either.
Yeah. So you take the money and go. I have no problem with that at all.
Yeah, it's just, again, I hate that the whole match is in Saudi Arabia because I was on one of many people that thought this match should be at SummerSlam. And it also kind of just throws the thing of like, okay, so did CM Punk just ignore the whole Seth Rollins situation? and all that. So like, what are we going to do with that? So that's kind of like, I feel like this whole premium live event with Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia, it's not necessarily Night of Champions, but just the whole thing of Saudi Arabia. It's just poorly misplaced in this
Yeah,
situation.
I will say one thing about the Saudi shows. We can be critical of the government and the money, and I get all that, and it's fair. But the one thing you can't be critical of is those Saudi crowds are hot, man. They get
They
one or two of
are.
these they get one or two of these shows a year. They don't take it for granted. They're so into it. They're alive, and they're hot constantly from opening bell to the closing bell. So
Mhm.
you don't have to worry about having some dull ass show like we got, at times, this year at some of our shows.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen at Night of Champions.
Right, and I agree with that, and that's actually an interesting topic. I think WWE should do more premium live events outside of America, so where
Great.
America crowds are like, yeah, we're taking these up for granted, so we need to try to, match that energy. Don't go back to Canada, because Canada fucked that up at Elimination Chamber with how bad their crowd
That
was.
was rough. You know what was a hot crowd? The Puerto Rico
Oh, Puerto Rico was a
with
great crowd.
Backlash a
I
couple of
thought
years ago.
Italy did a great job when they had those Raws and SmackDowns over at the Mamma Mia. Um, but yeah, I say like just give them a chance. Like, you know what? I know Saudi Arabia is gonna have a WrestleMania in the future, and that one is gonna just rub me the wrong way. But I'm just telling you, let like Britain, let Wembley Stadium, let them have a shot at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Well, when they originally announced that Mania wasn't going to be at New Orleans, they didn't. The report didn't come out yet that they were going to move over to Vegas again.
Mhm.
Then, so the initial reaction was, are they really going to do it? Are they going to the UK?
I
That was
mainly just
kind
want them to go to the UK just so they can stick it to AEW and show them how it's really done at selling out a crowd.
Yeah, well, we don't have to dig into this too much. We'll probably talk about it a little more next month.
Mhm.
But AEW's All In show, that's July 12th, I believe.
Yep.
It's going to be the same time as the Great American Bash.
Oh, it's actually. Oh, is it? Yeah. Yes, it is. So, which we know, like as expertise wrestling fans, we know AEW is going to win that. From a viewing perspective, but
I
I
don't
think from
think
a
so.
quality perspective, that
I
Great
don't think.
American Bash will.
Well, more. I think no. I think more people will watch the Great American Bash because
Ooh,
that'll be on Peacock, and you won't have to spend $50 for the pay per view like the AEW.
that is very true.
Or maybe they'll put it on YouTube. The Worlds Collide AAA show between the American and the Spanish feed on YouTube had
Mhm.
I think they topped out around 775,000 viewers at once.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's more people I think will be watching the Bash.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I don't blame them because I'll watch a wrestling event for $5 versus watch a wrestling event for 55, where they just do gymnastics all day.
yeah,
Oh my god! Like real quickly, you saw that opening of Swerve Strickland and Osprey.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What the fuck was that shit? Like that's the shit that pisses me off about AEW. That they are the one they think they're helping wrestling. They are
That's terrible.
ruining wrestling. You
It's really
think John
bad.
Cena is trying to ruin wrestling? AEW is trying to ruin wrestling.
Well, they're doing a good job.
Damn right. But Tony, you fumbled.
That's it.
And two questions I have about the you actually I'll do the you made brought the women's PLE evolution. This is the second one ever. Are you excited for that? And what do you think should headline?
It's so hard to think who's going to headline. I really think they're going to be switching up this card a bit now
Mm-hmm.
because of the big injuries, and it's
Yep.
hard to. They're going to do some nostalgia on the show, and I don't have a problem with that. But I really hope they keep it to a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have a little nostalgia, but you really want this to be about the future
Right.
of the women moving forward. I think what year was the Evolution pay per view? The first one? That-
Uh
Was it
okay.
four or
No,
5 years
give me a
ago?
minute. It's when Becky Lynch turned heel, and that was before WrestleMania 35 and
Okay, yeah, so 5 or
35.
6 years. Okay, so 19.
Yes. Or like SummerSlam 2018, I think.
Okay, okay. So it's been a
Hmm.
hot minute. It's been a minute here since we we had the women.
Yeah, but now with the amount of women talent that we do have in WWE, it's the perfect time to do this.
I agree.
So I agree with that, and I think the fortunate part is we're going to get some Bella action, which the original idea was to do Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez drop the titles to the Bella twins, which I felt like would have been a damn mistake. Yeah. But now, and that's another thing too. The women's tag team titles are officially dropped. So what?
There's no need for it.
Well, no, there's no need for the titles in period, but if you're going to have them, here's my idea. Because Naomi got to replace replace Jade Cargill to do Bianca and Naomi for the tag champions. Why couldn't you do that? This is where, again, we're going back to that Roxanne and Liv Morgan deal. Why not have Raquel ask Roxanne to be her replacement tag team partner for the tag team titles? That would make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That would, mm-hmm. And that could also play into when Liv comes back.
Exactly. And then just questioning and then you got the feud with Raquel and Liv Morgan too. And then quick speed round question: King and Queen of the Ring. Who do you think's going to win?
Oh gosh.
The men's not that hard. It's going to be Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
So they can set up John Cena, Cody Rhodes too at SummerSlam, where Cody Rhodes is going to beat him.
Yes. So my only worry, I'm hoping that they do that and they don't go to Jey Uso.
Oh, no. I'll already tell you what the final is. It's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton in the finals.
Yes, and you know what? Do you have a problem with that? I don't.
No problem. Just give him a little tease, and then when Cody Rhodes wins that WWE Championship, that's where you, bam, turn Randy Orton heel.
Yeah. Who do you like on the women's side?
The women's side, I'm going to go with Jade Cargill because I think they have been pushing her since WrestleMania. I think she passed the WrestleMania test that she can do it on her own. And then they're going to have her and Tiffany Stratton either at Evolution or at SummerSlam. I would think Evolution would be the better time to do it. And it would even be a bigger time to have the women's Money in the Bank cash in on an all-women's pay-per-view too.
Yeah, and the visual of Jade Cargill having the crown with the big robe,
gorgeous.
That's this is a type of a tournament that's kind of tailor-made for somebody like her, who is still a little rough around the edges, but has the look and kind of needs a push that could really, get her to the next level. And King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring, that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to take a character who is a mid-level character, mid to upper mid. Yes, doesn't always work. Sometimes you end up with a Billy Gunn or a Mabel, whatever. But the plan, where things change sometimes, but the plan is for someone like her to win it.
Actually, I'm going to change my pick because I just remembered that Asuka's back. And I think there's going to be a plan where Asuka is going to feud with Io for the women's world title. So, actually, that's going to be a good one. If it's going to be between Asuka and Jade Cargill, it would be the toughest prediction of the entire year.
We'll see how it plays out. It should be fun.
It should be a blast. So I'm looking forward to it. And then before we get into our fan mail section in the game, I got to go on a little bit of a rant. Do you see that table up there?
What was that? Yes, I do.
Yeah, like, TK, what the fuck are we doing? Like, are you that desperate in your $1 billion in debt that you're going to just really go this low? And that's the other thing, too. Now is at the fact now where they have to guarantee every Friday Night SmackDown, they're going to have to do the Slim Jim table spot. So it's kind of like we're doing an AEW habit where there's always going to be a table involved. And you also get the wrestling fans to scream, "We want tables." And that's why I've been noticing lately, too, that a lot of fans, for even a ladder match, the Money in the Bank ladder match, they were creaming like, "We want tables." I'm like, you don't need tables in a fucking ladder match. So it's
Yeah.
just pissing me off that we are just getting this crowd is always wanting a table, and you don't always need a fucking table. Save the table for when you actually really need to use the table for a spot to sell your story or for a gimmick match. Like, it's just it's ridiculous to me. Am I just overreacting on this?
No, I think this is a smaller part of our larger conversation about modern wrestling fans in that part, and then
Thanks,
and then
AEW.
when it comes to TKO, they're gonna try to maximize everything that they can. You know, a lot of other, look at the canvas on UFC and on the wrestlers in the fighters in UFC, all over their shorts and everything. It's all branded. Like, remember that when Brock Lesnar came back in 2012, Jimmy Johns was all over his tights. They've been doing
Yep.
this for years. If you look at New Japan Pro Wrestling, their canvas has all stuff all over it. Look at NASCAR. The drivers look like they got stickers all over their outfits because they're branded by everything. Their cars are branded. I mean, everything but the damn underwear. That's probably branded too. You know, so I'm surprised that it's taken wrestling this long. I know Vince never wanted to do that, but from a,
Never.
a corporate type of standpoint, they dangle enough dollars in there. Now, do I like seeing it? Don't really like seeing it. I like to have that clean canvas. It looks nicer. It looks better.
Oh, like like with the ring canvas and all that. That's actually not a problem with me. I figured once Triple H took over, he was immediately going to put stuff on that ring. But I just don't feel like we need to put like a Slim Jim ladder or a Slim Jim table. I
It's
don't
very
think we need
silly.
any of that.
Yeah, it's very. It comes across very silly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would be prepared for probably more sponsor matches. Remember Bray Wyatt's
Oh
last match?
my!
It was against LA Knight. It was against LA Knight. I want to say it was at the Rumble from 3 years ago, and it was the glow in the dark match.
It was the
Mountain
blackout
Dew.
Mountain Dew. Yeah.
It's like you. Look, I'm not saying I've heard this anywhere, but just gut feeling and watching the trends, you're gonna get more shit like that, man. There's gonna be more like that coming down the line, and at some point, and I really hope they don't do this. At some point, I mean, you're gonna see decals on tights,
Mm-hmm.
and I would not be surprised if they started having sponsored nameplates on the sides of the belts.
Oh god, I'm just like I don't want any of that, but
Neither
that's
do
just
I,
how
but just
desperate 2KO is.
I mean, I don't want that either. But can't you see it happening at some point?
Oh, unfortunately, I absolutely see it happening.
Yeah,
So it's just nah, I don't want it.
I don't want
I
to.
don't I don't want it. But so let's go. I just need to get that rant out of the way. So got some fan mail for us. I promised Byron to send in his submission to the first ever fan mail segment. And Byron Weaver, this is your question you want to ask us. What are your thoughts on TKO's behavior as of late? Kind of like just what we were talking about a little bit. So if you just want to throw anything else additionally onto TKO's problem, you think?
you know, the thing with TK, there's a lot of positives with it. As far as they have a lot of money behind them, they are
Mm-hmm.
going to be able to be in the biggest arenas. They're going to be able to get the best talent because they're going to be able to cut the checks when they want
Mm-hmm.
to and be smart with the money. Um, so things like that are not going to be a negative. But the one thing with Vince, even when he was getting older and the storylines weren't there, and I'm not talking about all the behind the scenes stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the way his storylines and who he was pushing. We could probably be critical of a lot of those things, but he did kind of keep enough of this, of the promotion homey in the sense where even though there were stockholders and stuff, it still felt like this was our thing. This WWE, it's wrestling, it's our promotion, and we're controlling it. and we're not going to have big time corporate sponsors tell us what to do. We're not going to be dictated. We're going to,
Mhm.
Vince is going to write it with, Pat Patterson and Bruce Pritchard, whoever. But now, as you get more corporate, you become beholden to your owners, and it's no different than if you work for a mom and pop pizza joint, and then go work for, in the corporate structure of Pizza Hut, and just as a comparison, right?
Right.
It there's so many hands that are there that you have
Mhm.
to answer to and dictate around. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of this really plays out, to see if Triple H is someone who's long term in the booking and in the writing room, because
Mhm.
you hear a lot of rumors about how him and The Rock conflict with each other,
Yeah,
and
which
and
The Rock
how
just needs to worry. He just actually, this is just very ironic. The Rock just needs to know his role and shut his damn mouth.
I mean, for me, if we never saw The Rock in a storyline again, I would be fine with it. And I've
I would
nothing against.
easily be fine.
I have no problems with The Rock. He seems like a very genuinely nice guy. He's hardworking. His movies are
When he
are
wants to be.
yeah, his movies are, hit or miss, but he's putting them out there. He's got his Terramana tequila. He's got his Papatui hair and shampoo stuff, which I love. It's fantastic. But it I don't need to have him on the show anymore. Does that
Right.
mean that it wouldn't be nice to see him at a random Hall of Fame ceremony once in a while? Sure,
Well,
cool.
plus he needs to go into Hall of Fame eventually.
Yeah, but I think you gotta. The point being, let the wrestling people handle the wrestling show.
Right. That's
And
why I agree. And that's the other thing. We got to kind of cut TKO some slack. They haven't been in the world of WWE. This is actually their first full year being in
yeah,
WWE. So I think they're still kind of learning the true power of the WWE universe with the crowd chanting for someone like R-Truth. Like
yep,
they got a voice. If you don't listen to that voice, you're gonna even be in more depth
I agree.
with money and all that too. So I think TKO is still kind of learning the true power of WWE and what they bring to the table. But I
Yeah.
think TKO knows at the exact same time in the future, WWE is what's going to really be making them their money.
Yes, I agree.
So let's just continue giving TKO a chance and hopefully they turn things around. Especially lower those prices, lower the prices. So, but Robbie, before we end the show, you came up with a game this week called Mount Rushmore. What are we doing a Mount Rushmore of?
Today we're going to be doing the Mount Rushmore of gimmick matches.
Ooh, gimmick matches. So just real quickly, is this like gimmick matches like a just like a traditional chair match, ladder match, or are we trying to go more unique, like an ambulance match or a
It
Pujami prison or
This is the four gimmick matches
that
that
make
you
WWE?
like the best in the WWE.
Okay. Okay, fan. I need to write down two more because I kind of left my two open spaces so I know where we're going at with it. So let's see here.
Now there's a good chance that at least one or two of them will probably be the same.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I got my list ready if you want to go first.
All right,
And we could go back and forth.
okay. The first one that comes to mind, I am actually gonna hold it back, and I'm gonna say another one first.
Okay.
Okay. Now, one of them has only semi recently been used in WWE, but it's been a gimmick match that has been around for 38 years now. And it's one that I absolutely loved as a kid. It's one that I would always want to rent the tapes for as a kid. And for many years, it was essentially dormant until about 6 or 7 years ago. And that is War Games.
Ooh,
I
good
I
one.
love War Games. The first War Games was at the Great American Bash in 1987. They actually did two or three of them because back then the Great American Bash was not a singular event.
Right.
was the Great American Bash Tour. Started in 1985, and it would run essentially from around 4th of July through the rest of the summer into like early
Right.
August. And they'd go from city to city, and some of the big matches would be War Games matches. And your first big one was the Four Horsemen. At the time was Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Lex Luger. And they
Mhm.
took on the Superpowers team of Dusty Rhodes and the Road Warriors. And so you had a lot going on. Nikita Koloff, who at that time had recently turned face, and it was a lot of fun. And it made its pay-per-view debut at the Great American Bash 1989, which I still consider to this day the best WCW pay-per-view that they ever had, and one of the best pay-per-views top to bottom ever. And in that main event, you got to see like the Midnight Express and the Freebirds, the Road Warriors, and Steve Williams. And this was something that WCW really, really pushed throughout the late 80s and all through the 90s. And they had really some big moments at these pay per views. One of them was in 1996 when you had Team WCW against Team NWO, and everybody thought that Sting was going to join NWO. And you're watching this match, and Sting comes out and joins the NWO. 2 minutes later, Sting comes out again because the NWO had a fake bogus Sting, and the real Sting comes out, cleans house, basically tells WCW, "Screw you! You didn't believe me. I kept telling you that I didn't join them," and
Mhm.
that is what kicked off Sting being the Crow Sting that lasted for what 25, 26 years.
Mhm.
And I'm so happy that this gimmick was brought back by Triple H in NXT a couple of years back, and now we're seeing it on the main roster with Survivor Series. They've tinkered it a little bit. It used to have a roof on top. Sometimes
Right.
they've had 5-on-5. Sometimes it's 4-on-4. Sometimes more recently you can use some weapons. It used to not be able to do that. So some of the rule changes, but I think it's a unique match. It's a match that you're not really going to see very often, but it's one that if used right between two sides, two really groups that have a big grudge, you can have
Right.
a lot of fun with it.
No, absolutely, dude. That is such a good one. I kind of mad that I didn't think about that myself. I think I was just thinking of the current stage of the War Games match, and I think I was like, it just needs a couple more before it to be a true staple. But I totally forgot about the classic WCW War Game matches. So great pick on that. I'm pretty much just basic with mine, but I think these
Fine.
matches are just the most important in WWE and what makes the history of WWE. And the first match, you got to go with that traditional blue cage.
Oh yeah,
Way back in with Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, Mankind, Triple H, and then they upgraded to that classic steel cage. And we had the famous Kurt Angle moonsault from the top. We had Jeff Hardy do Whisper in the Wind on Umaga. Bobby Lashley spearing Umaga through like the cage and all that. So many classic cage matches that everybody always loves a good cage match. So I'm going to put the cage match as my first gimmick.
I think that's a great pick. Um, and this year, when we talked about some of our best matches of the year, CM Punk and Seth
Yes.
Rollins in the cage at Madison Square Garden
They
earlier
did
this
that
year.
match perfectly.
That was a great, great match. I love the singular cage match. That was one of my kind of picks as well.
Mhm.
Um, growing up with the big heavy blue bar cage, it was such a fun kind of visual. That was done so people like Hogan can kind of climb out of it and make it a little easier. They
Right.
stopped using it because it was just so bulky and heavy and dangerous as opposed to
Mhm.
the mesh cage. So I don't think we might see that again as a little novelty act. It would be fun if down the line we had a Saturday night's main event
Yeah.
cage match where we use the blue cage, but you'd have to have like Jesse Ventura on commentary for that or
Oh, you
something like
got
that.
to.
So yeah, I love that. Now for my second pick, I thought this was gonna be your first pick. I'm really surprised by you on this. That when you want to talk a little bit more dialed into WWE, and you talk about gimmick matches, they've had a lot over the years that have really stood out, that have done well. Some a little bit better than others. But if there's one gimmick match that rises above the rest in all of these, I think more often than not, people would agree that it's the Royal Rumble.
Yep. And I actually, that's my next one I was getting ready to suggest too. So we could just combine the two right there.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
The Rumble is great. So the first Rumble that they had that was public was in 1988 on the USA Network. It was an abbreviated version. You only had 20 wrestlers, and it wasn't even the main event on the show, which is interesting, right? The main event on the show
Mhm.
was a 6-man tag involving the Hart Foundation and the Rougeau brothers. And that first Rumble was won by Hacksaw Jim Duggan, last eliminating the one-man gang. And that was the first Royal Rumble event. It wasn't even pay-per-view, like I said. The next year it went to 30 and it was on pay-per-view. And then it wasn't until 1993 where the winner got the shot to go to WrestleMania. Those
Mhm.
first couple of years, it was just a match. 1992, the title was vacant. Ric Flair won that title. That was, still today regarded as one of the best Royal Rumbles ever.
Of
Much in
course.
part due to the commentary of Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, who was a big advocate and a financial advisor and whatever you want to call it for Ric Flair.
Mhm.
Um, and that was a fantastic match. But ever since '93, it was the winner goes on to WrestleMania. So this is 30 something years down the road now, and now we have our women's Royal Rumble on top of it.
Mhm.
So this is if it's not everyone's favorite favorite gimmick match, it's got to be up there, and it has to
It
be at
has
least
to.
considered as one of these four, but by far.
No, absolutely, it has to be on there because again, just the importance of the match that
Yeah.
builds an actual WWE superstar, like from a mid carder to a main eventer. I hate to
Yes.
say it, Jey Uso, he was the mid card guy, won the Rumble, he got to be in the main event. That's just how important the Royal Rumble is, and just
Yep.
even like a Roxanne Perez, she didn't win the Royal Rumble, but she looked incredible. Royal Rumble is just that particular match where you get to actually see your standouts in the wrestling business in that ring and also teases feuds. It's just this match just does so much for the company every single year. And they're going to stadiums to sell out this big event that's called the Royal Rumble. So absolutely one of the most important gimmick matches, and not just WWE, but of all professional wrestling for the fans.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
definitely Royal Rumble.
What else you got?
What else I got? I did have ladder match, but then Heather raised me one, and she brought up a good point. So Heather, I'm giving you full credit for this one. I did have the ladder match, but we're gonna go upgrade to the Money in the Bank ladder match, just because of the fact of how important that is. With not just with how great the matches are, with how Shelton Benjamin is, but it's again developing a mid card guy, getting
Yeah.
them to that next level in the WWE title picture. And then also amazing storytelling with that briefcase as well. We got the Ultimate Opportunist was born with Edge when he cashed in on Cena, because we didn't even think of that. We just thought like, oh, Edge is just going to cash it in and just get a match at WrestleMania. We never thought he was going to use the briefcase in that way. So that just opened up our whole expanded thought of what this briefcase, how important it is to win. And then, of course, the women got involved in it, and the women have been 100% every time they cashed in. So this match is just very important with WWE as well. So I love the Money in the Bank concept. I love everything about it. Thank you, Chris Jericho. You made my list for Christmas. So definitely Money in the Bank ladder match as my number 3 one.
Now, let me ask you that because you went from ladder match to Money in the Bank ladder match. Don't have a problem with that at all. Would you include in that umbrella the TLC match?
You know,
Is that
you can in a way, just because of WrestleMania 16 with what the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, and Edge and Christian did to put the tag team wrestling and themselves on the map with that particular match, and plus it still lives on today. We had that incredible TLC match we had on SmackDown, which should have
fantastic?
been on fucking WrestleMania.
I mean, that's
Uh,
going to be one of the top matches of the year, probably.
Absolutely, and what put over the Street Profits too, in my opinion, when they finally
Yeah.
put them on the map, especially Montez Ford. You need a mid card push.
So would it be better worded almost to have kind of like the ladder match like but make it like an umbrella where it's
Yeah.
Money in the Bank ladder match, TLC match because it also incorporates the ladder kind of.
WLC.
That was fun. It was. But so like it's almost like that match kind of casts a wider umbrella, right? A wider net.
Yeah.
Where like because I don't think you wouldn't put a Money in the Bank ladder match and a TLC match on a Money in the Bank on a Mount Rushmore because it's too similar.
Right, and also too, you could put a table in a Money in the Bank ladder match too if you really wanted to. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. So like Heather's saying TLC, it's its own thing, and I totally understand that, but I also understand where you're coming from because it does involve a ladder. You still got to grab something from the
You
top
still
and
have to go
everything.
up the ladder,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't put the table match under that because the ladder match, the Money in the Bank ladder match and the TLC match, the object is still the exact same thing.
And I'm just pissed off at tables, so that's why I didn't put it on
Yeah.
there.
So those three matches you still have to win the same exact way.
Exactly.
You know.
So, but what is your number 3 on the Mount Rushmore?
Okay, so let me ask you on this one because you put the standard cage on, right?
I know where you're getting ready to go
Okay.
with it because that's my that's my last one.
Now I picked War Games. Now War Games I think is different enough from a standard cage match that it can warrant its own inclusion on the list where it's not that they're different enough as opposed to like ladder match TLC. It's all that's too similar. Where
Right.
War Games in a regular cage is different enough. Okay.
Right.
Now, when you're talking about the Hell in the Cell,
Oh, I think that's its own thing just because
right?
of just the symbolism of what that match means. And I'm going to go in more detail about it here in a minute, but that's
Yeah.
actually a
So
good thought. But it's kind of like what Heather's saying. It's like TLC in her mind. It's its own thing. Hell in a Cell is absolutely its own thing, and I'll
I
explain
think
why in a minute.
I think it's its own thing as well, and I think because the so much of this of the Hell in the Cell now, they get out of the cage, they fight around the cage, they get on top of this cage, and it has such a different vibe to it than a regular cage match. So I don't have an issue keeping that separate away from a normal cage.
Right.
And we've had some great Hell in the Cells, man. You know, starting with that first one in October of '97 with The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels got his ass kicked, and then Kane debuts. So you talk about having storylines intertwined with matches. You know, that first Hell in the Cell wasn't even so much about Undertaker and Shawn Michaels because, you know, that really wasn't the big feud that they were building from. It was really Shawn Michaels and Brett.
Right.
And then it was Kane and Undertaker. And those two guys, you know, they kind of just threw them together, kind of. Um, so that was a great way to introduce this gimmick match at the same time intertwining a story. And obviously the Mick Foley Undertaker cage match, Mick, which is famous, the most
Yeah.
famous, you know, Foley and Triple H at No Way Out in 2000. So there's a lot of cool stuff, and that's just the early ones. Drew and CM Punk from this
Match of
past
the year
year
last year.
was fantastic. So I'm glad that they turned the cage back to silver.
Yeah.
The
God.
red cage was really dumb.
It was rough.
Yeah, but I would put that on there. What do you think?
Definitely that's my last one. It's the Hell in the Cell match, just because it's just the best gimmick match if you just want to conclude a big heated story. Kind of like a Drew McIntyre CM Punk, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels when they were having their blood feud. It's just there's so many I can explain with this Hell in the Cell match. But what just Hell in the Cell means to me and just what it means in wrestling, I always just call it Hell in a Cell where rivalries go to die. Because their whole rivalry just gets settled once and for all, and they get left in that cage. So that's like the whole concept of it. And I've always been fascinated with that concept. When they know when the Hell in the Cell match is getting ready to be introduced, shit it's gotten personal. And the story's getting ready to enhance. The promos are going to be on a whole nother level. Everything is going to be on a whole nother level. That's what I hated when Vince McMahon made the whole Hell in a Cell red, made the whole Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt or the Fiend match. God, I don't want to talk about that match because that legitimately killed Hell in a Cell when that match ended in a no contest or just a cancellation. That just ruins everything what Hell in a Cell means.
Yeah.
It doesn't care how far you go. Again, Undertaker threw Mankind on top of a top, man. Just that visual alone just shows you the dangerous nature of this. Or Undertaker says the devil's playground. There's just so much meaning to this match, from storyline just to like actual real life views. Again, like Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, that was a perfect match for them to settle kind of like their beef with one another. I bet you at the end of that match, they had a certain amount of mutual respect for each other after beating the hell out of each other. So that match it means more to me than anything, because I think that it just tells excellent stories. That's what Hell in a Cell is all about.
I agree. And I had my final one down, and it's a gimmick match where
lingerie pillow fights.
Damn it, man. You knew it.
Yes.
It's a gimmick match where they don't necessarily need to use a specific gimmick. No cage, doesn't have to be a ladder, doesn't have to be tables or chairs. Could, but not necessarily. And I'm kind of going to combine two because they're very, very similar.
Okay.
And one is not really used anymore, and it's kind of transitioned into another one. And it's going to be the Texas Death Match / Last Man Standing match.
Ooh, good pick.
I like these matches. It really, you just put it all out there. And the Texas Death Match, the difference, the Texas Death Match, they've changed the rules kind of over the years. And where you have to pin your opponent and they have 10 seconds to get up. Mm-hmm. There used to be rest periods involved, which I never really liked. And they've kind of transitioned into this last man standing gimmick match. There's been a lot of good ones over the years. The one that really stands out in more recent time for me is a Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa match.
Yeah, buddy. Chicago.
Yeah, in 2000. That was in Brooklyn. That was the Brooklyn match.
Oh, yeah, it was the Brooklyn match. You're right, because the Chicago match was a street fight. Yeah.
But between that trilogy with the New Orleans match, the Brooklyn match, and the Chicago match, they were all fantastic. It's such a great way to kind of enhance a feud. Mm-hmm. And you don't need the gimmick of 30 people in it. You don't need the big cage. You don't need ladders. You could theoretically just do it between two people, and make it work. And I think it stands out a little bit for that reason, for the simplicity of it.
Right.
And when we're talking about some of these other matches, gimmick matches that we love that have all these other things, it's nice to have one here on the side that's a little bit more basic in its structure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so and that's just a great thing, because I don't know, I'm not sure, this might be random as hell. The first match I thought of for Last Man Standing was Chris Jericho and Kane, and their whole rivalry was based because Chris Jericho spilled coffee on Kane. But I thought that Last Man Standing match was absolutely great too, and also the Last Man Standing match really does indeed help a sympathetic baby face get them over as a character.
Agreed. And this is the match like that, Texas Death Match, same type of thing. Those have been going on for decades and decades and decades.
Mm-hmm. Especially AEW likes to use them, every Wednesday.
Yeah, well, one of my favorites, and watch it on Peacock, probably pull it up on the WWE Vault. Vader and Cactus Jack from Halloween Havoc in 1993.
Good match.
Those two guys just beat the tar out of each other, man.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I was thinking. I remember watching that live when it happened. Make me feel old.
Oh my gosh. But so yeah, those are our gimmick matches of Mount Rushmore. So let us know what you think your Mount Rushmore gimmick matches are in that comic section, along with all the topics of what did you think about each and every single one of our topics. Let us know your opinions on those topics in that comic section down below. So before we're going to ring that final bell, which I promise you the next episode I'm going to get a bell. I promise you. If not, you get to put me for the Slim Jim table.
That's right.
Okay, and I cannot have that happen. So we're gonna have we did the fan mail segment. We're gonna open it up that more where I'm gonna get like a bag or something and just draw a random question and all that. That's how I'll do that in the future. But let us know what we did in that comic session. Remember to like this video, share, and subscribe. Everything, doing all of that helps make this show the best that it can be. So, Robbie, any final thoughts before I finally ring that bell?
I'm excited for this build towards SummerSlam. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting to see how we pivot here after the Night of Champions. Once we get our King of the Ring winners in there, we'll have to check that out. And next month, we'll see. It'll be fun to recap all of that and how everything plays out.
Yeah, and just my final thought is I'm very excited for the women's evolution, just because you're just about to see what truly women's wrestling is fully going to be, what it's going to be about for the next 2 to 3 years. Because I'm just telling you, the women's evolution, this like evolution 2.0, is only just begun.
All righty.
So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here, and we will see you all for the next show. Robbie, ring that bell. I'll make the sound effect. See you guys.